Hi, so this is a demo video on going beyond vibe coding into more traditional software engineering practices like test-driven development. Up front, I'm not a vibe coder. I'm a traditional software engineer and DevOps architect, and I'm only lightly using code assistance today. However, I did think that this was a pretty good exercise. We are starting to support more and more vibe founders and solopreneurs and so forth. And this is a good bridge, I think, for moving beyond the basics. So upfront, why do so many vibe coding projects crash and burn? The ones that we see out there, I'm sure you're seeing them too on X and so forth. Start off very optimistically, but often do have a lot of struggles. What I see from just a pure software development perspective is that there's a lot of like kind of one-shot fantasies going on out there. Folks are expecting full stack uh, results from basic prompts. And even if you are effectively putting the entire PRD in, if you're counting on this to come back and just work in a full stack way for your application, whatever it is, that's probably extremely optimistic. Because while code assistants are absolutely amazing, LLMs are amazing, deep learning is amazing, machine learning is amazing, all the way up and down, however you want to think about it logically, they're still really just statistical pattern matchers. They don't really know without guardrails what they should be doing. They're trained on very large data sets, even the fine tuning and so forth that you can see in the models that Claude and others represent for us today, still effectively, there's a lot of probability that's baked into how they answer, the way that they answer. And so, what can we do? We can provide guardrails, is really the answer. And test driven development, TDD, again, has been here for us for a while to help us with that. So, from a vibe coding perspective, TDD really comes in. It's just like anything else. It's the simple heart of it is red, green, refactor. So we start off in TDD practices writing a failing test. We don't actually write code that we expect to work and then see if it will. We actually write a failing test for code that we know isn't going to work right away, and we test it and we see that it fails. Then we actually write code that should pass, and once we get it to a point where it does pass, that's green. And then refactor, we don't actually traditionally do any coding at the refactor stage. We're simply thinking about what the next optimization is that we want to make to the code. And then we proceed back to the red. So red, green, refactor. That's the way that that works. So we're going to go ahead and dive into Cursor here and take a look at how out of a basic prompt we could do something like this. So I'll go ahead and grab a prompt here. I've also put it into and I will be sharing it in everywhere that I post this video. But we're going to go ahead and pop this in, and we're going to see exactly how Cursor wants to answer me with even just its kind of basic model, working. So it's going to throw some suggestions at me, and I'm going to say, no, let's make a Flask app. So I'd like to keep this more, straight up Python and everything else just for the simple demo here. And so I'm kind of doing this while, I'm on the video and we'll kind of see how this works. It looks like it wants to go ahead and, do some basics here. I'm going to go ahead and I'll keep all the changes that it wants for that. And then basically what it's given me is a test that, should fail here. And so when we look at, it should be telling me somewhere in here what the actual command is that it wants me to run. Test, please try that. Yep. So we'll go and run that. And it's telling me that we got to go ahead and do some initial stuff here. So let's go and do it. Now it wants to run the test. I'm going to let it try, and it does fail. And so the other thing that I like to do, just because it is a little constrained in the screen, is I like to go ahead and try to run out of the same place here. Oh, it wants me to go ahead and load up what is it? Where did that environment go? I got to run the command. Get the environment. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do. I'll have to source out of this thing. Yeah, and then now it should run the command. All right, so now, yeah, I'm getting the same error that it was getting, so I'll be able to run that again. So we don't have basically we don't have the code that we should have. And so I'm just basically going to say proceed here. So now it interprets that correctly that I want to do a green step. So now we're going to go and um, add that. So I'll go ahead and run it. And it's recognizing, oh gosh, we need to do some other stuff, vibe coding. Now it's saying that the test passes, so we'll actually go ahead and test the theory as well in the terminal when it looks like it is actually coming back as a pass now. So now, as I suggested in the prompt, we're going to go ahead and actually commit the change here, and that's pretty cool that it would do it here for us. You can I certainly don't discourage anybody wanting to commit early and often, but in TDD, classically, you could probably say that the only step where you really need to do the commit is at the green stage. So it looks like it's all good here. So let's go ahead and kind of take a peek at what it's doing. And let's go ahead and add an actual welcome message. So add a welcome message to this. Let's see if it interprets the red. And it does. It understands that even though I'm not telling it explicitly that let's go ahead and create a failing test for this, let's see what it's going to do. So right now it's actually updating the test here. So we'll go and run this and make sure that just like it looks over there, that it looks like it's failing. And we can see the way that the test app is set up that it's looking for like a specific, it looks like it's looking for a specific response here. And so we'll go ahead and run this again and we'll see, looks like it's passing now. And yeah, so that test passes. It's now got a 200 message in it. And then kind of go from there. So now if we wanted to also like revert, we would be able to ask, because we've done it, so tightly, what's there, we would be able to do that within cursor pretty easily, because once again, we're guardrailing this and putting ourselves in a position where if we have to, undo things that we have previously done, we can, because these are not massive data sets. You're not watching your entire app directory go poof, which we hear about all the time in what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. And it should pass, but it should pass on a different basis now. And so, again, that's a little bit hard to read, but it looks like it's done the reversion. And I'll go ahead and keep these changes, and we'll go ahead and run this. And so that's about it. You could do this over and over and over again out of a very well-controlled prompt. So hopefully this is valuable, and I'll plan on posting a few more of these for folks that are interested in seeing what some of these practices could look like. Thanks for watching.